Hey everyone, I'm Melissa from Knitting the Stash, and this is a yarn launch party. That's how we like to do it around here. I like to create farm to skein yarns, as you guys know, and I also like to promote them, thinking locally about wool and all those wonderful things. So this is a yarn launch party for Heirloom yarn, which is a farm to skein yarn that was produced here in Illinois on Seven Sisters Farm. And it was milled up in Michigan at the Stone Hedge Fiber Mill, where I also mill my yarn shorn. And I've got some exciting things for you because I not only have the yarn to show you, but I have 3 different patterns with the yarn to show you. So let's jump right in. So this is the yarn. This is Heirloom by Seven Sisters Farm, and it is a beautiful long wool blend, and I'll tell you a little bit about the tag in a minute. It's a beautiful long wool blend of Teeswater, Leicester long wool, and a little bit of Corriedale mixed in. So I'll show you up close the yarn. It is a very woolly, kind of rustic-y yarn. It's a 2-ply. So I would say light fingering, heavy lace weight yarn, 250 yards, for about 3.5 ounces. And it's straight off Kathy's farm over in Sydney, Illinois. And Kathy Capel, for those of you who might not know, she is the wonderful shepherd who has taught me so much about sheep. I have been to shearing at her house and her barn, and I have helped deworm the sheep and done hoof trimming, and in fact it was her sheep, a few of them, that pastured with us this summer. We had some of her Corriedales over to our pasture for about 3 months. So Kathy and I have gotten to know each other pretty well, and I love the work she does over on the farm. I have some photos that I'll be putting in here so that you can see her setup with the sheep and the sheepdogs and the barn, and we've just had wonderful times over at her farm, and I visit quite often. So when she said that she had this new yarn coming in, I was like, I want to do a launch party because it's so much fun. So that's the yarn, and I really want to say this is Kathy's a really wonderful woman because she creates these communities around her. So not only does she raise the sheep and also invite people in to learn about sheep and shearing and caring for them and all that kind of stuff, but she's involved a lot of us in the guild in this yarn production. So for example, Irene did the lovely yarn drawing for the label, which is a cute sheep spinning from its own fleece. And then 3 of us got together and started playing around with the yarn, and we each came up with a pattern that goes with the yarn. So all of these patterns that I'm going to show you were created with this yarn in mind. And since it's a long wool yarn, for me, I immediately thought of weaving, because oftentimes long wool is used for outerwear or it's used for weaving. It's really strong yarn. It would be wonderful as a warp if you're a weaver to use something like this. So in my pattern for the communal contribution, I created the Rose Cottage cap, which is it took about half a skein of the yarn to make 1 cap. So if you bought a skein of yarn or a kit, you could make 2 caps out of a skein of yarn. And I designed it in 2 different sizes. This is the 22-inch size, and then there's also a 24-inch size in the pattern. It's a cap because it really does sit pretty flush to your head. And the most fun thing about this cap design is that I tried to choose some stitches that are evocative of weaving. So this is a double basket weave rib stitch on the brim, and I have a video up on YouTube about how to do that stitch for those of you who buy the pattern. And then this is a slip stitch kind of woven pattern for the hat, and it goes into these lovely decreases in the top so that you maintain the pattern even as the hat gets smaller and fits your head. So that's my contribution. It's the Rose Cottage cap, and it was actually named after a weaver's cottage that I visited in the Cotswold. One of my good friends, Amy's family, lives up in the Cotswolds in this beautiful place called Rose Cottage, and it's a weaver's cottage, so all the doors were kind of extra large so that the weavers could move the looms in and out. So it was kind of like a perfect name for a a hat inspired by weaving. So that's pattern number 1. Then we have the beautiful fountain leaf shawl over here. Now, the real spectacular thing about this shawl is when I turn it around. So you've got to see the back of this with all of the increases that go into this shawl, because you begin up here at the top and you work your way down. This pattern is fully charted, and it's a lot of charts because it's a fairly large shawl, but it's very simple to make. So this sample was knit up by Debbie. This is, again, it's like it takes a community. So Debbie knit up this sample, and it is a beautiful kind of full-size shawl. And I'll show you the tip. You can really see those yarn overs with the open lace work in them. And it has a really interesting shape. So it has this almost V-like shape here. And it's really, it kind of just drapes around you. So if I had it on the mannequin a moment ago, but you can wear it just like, it would be a perfect shawl for just kind of wearing around and staying warm and doing lots of lovely things in the wintertime. So I quite like this shawl. This shawl takes 3 skeins of yarn, and I'll pop her back up here so that you can see it. Takes 3 skeins of yarn, and my guildmates who test knitted the shawl thought that it is actually a pretty simple pattern to follow. So I would say even like an advanced beginner could take on the shawl and be just fine. Same with the hat. And that was one of the things that we tried to work on with these patterns, is making sure they'd be accessible. The last, but certainly not least pattern, is a set of ankle socks, and these are the Heirloom ankle socks by BETH. And you can see these have a beautiful lace work on the top of the foot and a plain back and plain heels. I think she used, if I'm remembering right, she used the Fish Lips Kiss heel style for these. So these are a gorgeous pair of ankle length socks, and it takes 1 skein to make both of these. So 1 skein for the socks, 1 skein for the hat, and 3 for the shawl. And this yarn is in limited supply, of course, as with all farm to skein yarns. There's only so much of it to go around. Sheep flocks are only so big, and Kathy's flock right now, she's been transitioning. I think she has 29, and it's breeding season, so there'll be some little lambs next year. But there are only so many sheep in a flock, and so there's only so many fleece, and there's only so much yarn. So this is a limited run, and will be available first come, first serve. And what I'm asking people to do is to get directly in touch with Kathy. So I'm going to put her email right on the screen here, and you can email her if you're interested in ordering the yarn. And let me give you the price breakdown. So if you want a skein of this yarn, 20 bucks. That's it. And plus shipping. And if you're international, she's willing to ship international. You just pay for shipping, not a problem. And there'll be a flat rate for the US to try to keep costs down. So I think if it's 1 skein, it's like a $5 shipping and handling kind of charge. And then if you order a chunk of skeins, then it would be a little bit higher on the flat rate, but $20 plus shipping, that's great. And then she's also doing kits for all of the patterns. So the socks and the hat, a kit for both of those, which includes a skein of yarn, a printed pattern, a Ravelry code so that you can download the digital pattern. You can get kits for the hat or the socks for $22. And you can get a kit for the shawl, which is 3 skeins of yarn plus the pattern and the Ravelry code for $62. So I think that's all pretty cool. I will put all that information over on the blog where I'll post this video as well, so that if you need to kind of check in and remember information, it'll be over there. And yeah, I'm super excited to help Kathy launch this yarn into the world. And as a special treat, I have a skein to give away to one of you lucky winners. So all you have to do is leave a comment here on the yarn launch. Say anything you want. Just leave a comment and you'll be entered to win this skein of yarn, this Heirloom skein of yarn in the giveaway. And I'll announce the giveaway winner in a couple of weeks and ship this off to you. So that's the yarn launch. If you want to get in on the giveaway, please leave a comment here over on the Ravelry thread or on the blog. And if you want to get some of the yarn, just get in touch with Kathy. And again, here's her email. She's handling all of the sales of the yarn. I'm just doing the yarn launch, but I'm always happy to answer questions. And all of these patterns are also up on Ravelry. So if you don't want to get a kit, but you're interested in the patterns, you can get them up on Ravelry. And I will say that the hat pattern, the rose cottage cap that I designed, I put it up on Ravelry, and for the next week, you can grab it for $1 with the code KTS_RCC. I'll put that on the screen here for you. That means you can get this hat for just $1 for the next week or so in case you're interested. So that's it. That's the yarn launch. It's exciting. And I hope that this yarn finds wonderful homes out in the world and you guys enjoy it. So thanks for letting me share it with you, and I'll see you guys in the next podcast. Take care.